The war was over before it even started. At least, that's what the Zarn leaders believed. Their fleet had crushed the human colony on Moon 47 in just under 2 hours. Lasers fired, buildings exploded, and small defense drones were burned from the sky. The Zarn soldiers landed with pride. They found no resistance. Only weak automated turrets and old machines tried to stop them. Nothing like the powerful human army they had heard stories about. Commander Virex stood tall on the surface of the moon, watching his troops raise the Zarn flag. "So this is the best humanity had left," he laughed. What a joke. The alien media quickly spread the news. "Zarn Empire claims victory over final human outpost," the headlines read. Crowds cheered. Fireworks filled the skies of Zarn. Prime. The people celebrated, believing the human threat was finally gone. After so many years of silence from Earth, they thought this colony was all that remained. But deep in the shadows of the destroyed colony, a small alien scout named Zelak moved carefully through the ruins. He was young, curious, and not as proud as the others. He had studied human history, their strange tactics, their silent retreats, their traps. Something about this victory didn't feel right to him. He walked into one of the broken bunkers. The door had been blown open during the first wave of the attack. Inside, the walls were lined with strange equipment. Some of it looked old, some new. But there were no signs of human bodies, no blood, no uniforms, no heat signatures. Just machines. Machines that looked like people. Zelak picked up a metal hand from the floor. It was cold, lifeless, but too detailed to be junk. It was a perfect copy of a human arm, skin-like texture, even veins. But when he looked closer, he saw circuits inside. It wasn't a person. It was a decoy. A dummy. His heart began to race. Why would they leave decoys? He whispered. He turned on his scanner and searched the whole base. The same results. No living humans, just machines designed to look like them. Robots with fake heat signals, fake life signs. He reported his findings to command, but they laughed at him. "Zelak, you worry too much," said Captain Drex. "Humans are weak now. They left the galaxy a long time ago. What you found were probably old models. Don't waste our time." But Zelak couldn't rest. Something was wrong. He returned to the bunker alone. This time, he accessed the control room and found an active terminal. The screen flickered. Strange code ran across it in a language he didn't understand. Then, suddenly it stopped. A new message appeared. "Simulation complete. Phase 1, successful." Zelak's breath caught in his throat. "Simulation? Phase 1? He downloaded the logs and opened the communication data. One entry stood out. A short. Transmission had been sent just minutes before the Zarn ships arrived. It wasn't a call for help. It wasn't a cry for rescue. It was something else, something hidden. The message was encrypted, but one phrase was clear. "Target engaged. Observation units terminated. Send full report to Core Command. Zelak." Step back, his hands shaking. This wasn't a real base. It was a test, a trap. The Zarn fleet hadn't destroyed a human stronghold. They had walked into a playground. One built by humans to watch, record, and study the Zarn tactics. And the humans were watching. Far above the moon, in the cold darkness of space, a small black object floated silently. It had no engine flare, no visible weapons, no radar signature. But its lens was aimed directly at the moon. It had seen everything. Every laser fired, every soldier's movement, every mistake. The humans had not fought back because they had no reason to. They had sent robots, they had sent decoys. And, now, they had the data. Zelak tried to warn his superiors again, this time more urgently. "We didn't fight humans. We destroyed a decoy base. We are being studied, watched. This was not a victory. It was a trap." The High Council didn't listen. Their minds were full of celebration, full of pride. They broadcast more victory speeches. Statues were built. Streets were renamed. But in the shadows, something was moving. On a deep space relay station, far from any known star, a human technician looked at a blinking green light. She leaned closer. A message had arrived, silent and coded. Her eyes widened as she read the report. Moon 47 decoy base destroyed. Zarn tactical response recorded. Phase 1 complete. She stood up and walked into the next chamber, where an older man sat watching hundreds of screens. "They took the bait, sir," she said. The man didn't move. His voice was cold, calm, without emotion. "Good. Send the signal. Tell command." "The test is done," she nodded. Somewhere in the darkness, machines began to wake up. Silent engines powered up. Human warships, real ones, opened their eyes after long sleep. Back on Zarn Prime, Zelak stared into the stars from his small chamber. His thoughts were dark and heavy. The others laughed. They called him paranoid. But he knew the truth. They had not fought the real humans, and the real humans were coming. Far from the Zarn Empire, beyond known star routes, a signal moved through deep space. It was weak, broken, hidden inside old code from an ancient Earth protocol, but someone, something, was listening. On relay station Theta 9, buried under, ice on a forgotten moon, a green light blinked for the first time in 72 years. The signal passed through silent machines, activated frozen servers, and reached the heart of the station. Lights came on, screens flickered, the system came alive. A voice whispered inside the station, cold and mechanical. "Human recon signal detected. Forwarding to core command." No one was present. No humans, no crew. Only machines. But the signal was moving now, fast, through hidden satellites, stealth relays, and dark data tunnels. It was going home, on Earth, buried under the surface. Of the Pacific Ocean, a large structure began to shake. People on the surface saw bubbles rise from the sea. Fish fled. Birds flew off in fear. Deep below, a black sphere began to glow. It hadn't moved in 100 years. Inside the sphere, an AI system named Sentinel opened its digital eyes. "Signal confirmed," it said. "Recon unit destroyed. Phase 1 complete." Meanwhile, on the surface of Earth, the skies remained calm. The cities were bright, clean, full of life. Humanity had not fought a war in over a century. But that didn't mean they had forgotten. Deep underground, old generals were being awakened. Not by noise, not by force, but by a single silent alert. General Armin Gray opened his eyes in a cryo chamber. He had served in the last human war, back when the Galactic Council had betrayed Earth. His body was old, but his mind was sharp. He looked at the screen above him. One word blinked in red. Return. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. The past was calling again. Back on Zarn Prime, alien technicians tried to understand the strange signal they had intercepted from Moon 47 just before the base exploded. The code made no sense. It wasn't a distress call. It wasn't a command for help. It was too clean, too fast, too quiet. High Commander Dravik ordered his top scientists to decode it. One of them, a nervous alien named Jorek, finally said, "Sir, this wasn't a message to someone, it was a message back. It was a report." Dravik frowned. "A report? To who?" Jorek looked up, fear on his face. "To humans. It was their own signal, sent to someone far away. This means someone else was watching." The High Commander paused. For the first time in years, he felt cold. Meanwhile, in human space, old ships began to power up. Not the shiny public ones used for trade or travel, but the dark ones, the hidden ones. Ships without names, without flags. Stealth vessels built not for peace, but for study, for data. For war. They had been waiting. A small ship called Spectre 9 detached from a black moon near Saturn. Its AI spoke quietly. Recon phase over. Time to observe the observers. Farther away, deep in the Kuiper Belt, a human listening post received the final log from Moon 47. It showed Zarn soldiers walking through the fake base. It recorded their tactics, weapons, communication styles, and weaknesses. A human officer watched the footage and smiled. So loud, so proud. They don't even know they were being tested. At the same time, Earth's Shadow Command issued new orders. Silent messages were sent to long-sleeping operatives across nearby galaxies. Some humans looked like traitors. Some looked like scholars. But they were more than that. Each one received the same short message. Contact lost. Target confirmed. Begin Phase 2. Back in the Zarn capital, fear started to spread quietly. Some officers began to question the victory at Moon 47. Why were there no real humans? Why were there only machines? Why was the signal so clean? A secret meeting was held in the dark chambers beneath the War Council Tower. Only 6 top leaders were present. One of them said, "What if the humans are not gone? What if they let us win?" Another whispered, "What if they wanted us to attack first, so they could see how we fight?" No one answered. Zelak, the young scout who had discovered the fake base, was called in. He stood before the council, nervous but calm. "We didn't defeat humans," he said. "We defeated a simulation, and they saw everything." One general shouted, "Then where are the real humans?" Zelak answered, "Waiting, watching." The room fell silent. Suddenly, alarms began to ring. A new object had entered the edge of Zarn territory. Small, silent, black. It didn't answer hails. It didn't respond to scans. It just floated in. Space. Staring. Final data showed it was a ship. But not like any Zarn ship. Not even like the human colony ships. It had no known shape. It changed under every scan. It didn't fire. It didn't speak. It just waited, and then the signal stopped. On Earth, General Gray stood before a giant screen in the war room. The image showed the Zarn colony moon, now silent, broken, and fully mapped. He turned to his officers and spoke his first words since waking. "Prepare the real fleet. They've seen the shadows. Now let them feel the storm." The Zarn Empire was no longer celebrating. Their victory over the human colony on Moon 47 had turned into fear, then silence. Commanders no longer gave bold speeches. Soldiers no longer cheered. Something was wrong. They could feel it. 3 weeks after the easy victory, a strange object entered the outer edge of Zarn space. It did not answer any hails. It ignored all scans. It didn't even have a power signature. But it moved, slowly, carefully, straight toward the Zarn observation post on Kela 9. At first, the Zarn thought it was debris, maybe a broken probe, or an asteroid with old tech. But when they sent a patrol ship to investigate, everything changed. The patrol ship, Skrine 12, reported visual contact. "It's a vessel," the pilot said. "Not Zarn, not Council, unknown design, smooth black. Hull, no windows, no engines." Command asked him to scan it. The pilot replied, "Sir, the ship is scanning us first." Static. Then silence. The patrol ship vanished. No explosion, no distress call. It was just gone. The station on Kela 9 immediately went into lockdown. But before they could react, the unknown ship disappeared from their sensors too. It left nothing behind. Not even a trace. Back on Zarn Prime, emergency meetings began again. The strange encounter was classified, but the whispers spread. The question returned. Were the humans back? Commander Dravik refused to believe it. "It's just alien tech from another race," he said. "We crushed the last human colony. Earth is silent. Their time is over." But Zelak, the young scout who first warned them, stood up in the meeting. "No, Commander," he said. "We've never met the real humans. That was a test base, a simulation. This," he pointed to the report, "is the real thing, and it's only just begun." Dravik shouted, "You speak fear, not facts." Zelak replied, "No, sir. I speak from what I've seen, and I think they're making contact." Meanwhile, in deep space, another unknown ship appeared, this time near the Zarn military training sector in Nebula V3. It did not attack. It only hovered. A Zarn battleship approached it carefully, ready to fire. But then a voice came through their communication system. It was clear, cold, human. "We know your weapons. We know your formations. We know your leaders. We watched. We learned." The alien crew froze. Then came a second message. This time, one word only: "Run!" The human ship vanished again. No warp trail, no energy signal, just gone. Within hours, similar reports came from 4 different sectors. Mysterious. Ships, no weapons shown, only messages, only silence. Back on Earth, General Armin Gray stood inside the Black Command Chamber. The screens showed everything: ship locations, Zarn reaction time, signal delays, panic growing. He turned to his team. "They're afraid now." "Good," one officer asked. "Do we attack?" General Gray shook his head. "Not yet. We show them what they never understood, what real humans are, and we make them feel watched, just like they did to us, centuries ago." The humans had learned from the past. When the Council banished Earth, when the galaxy turned its back, humanity went dark, but not weak. They trained in secret, built ships that could vanish, created AIs smarter than any Council technology. They didn't forget. They didn't forgive. And now, the time had come to show the galaxy the truth. They were never gone. They were preparing. Inside the Zarn High Council, panic had reached the top. Commander Dravik ordered a galaxy-wide alert. Defensive shields were raised, fleets were repositioned, spy drones were launched, but nothing worked. Every drone they sent vanished. Every ship that followed a human signature never came back. Finally, they received a data packet. No origin, no signature, just a simple file titled "Begin Again." They opened it. The file showed their attack on Moon 47. From 10 different camera angles, all recorded from human devices. It showed troop positions, weapon use, and even their commanders' movements. Then it played a voice log, one they had never heard before. It was from Moon 47, from the real human recon officer. "This is Recon Unit 0. The Zarn fell into the simulation. They believe they've won, but they have not met the real fleet. I now return all field data to Core. Command, let Phase 2 begin." Then the file ended. The screen turned black, and then red words appeared. Observe, measure, understand, then act. Zelak watched the council room grow quiet. No one dared to speak. He finally said, "We attacked a ghost. They studied us, while we laughed. We woke something we didn't understand." Dravik, now pale, whispered, "What do we do?" Zelak didn't answer. He just looked at the stars, because somewhere out there, the real humans were waiting. And this time, they weren't. Sending a message, they were coming in person. The galaxy was quiet now. The Zarn Empire had fallen. Their war fleets were gone. Their rulers were removed. And yet, no one celebrated, because fear still remained. But it was not fear of destruction anymore. It was fear of what the humans had become. After the storm, the human fleet didn't stay. They didn't take over planets or demand resources. They left behind small devices, machines that watched, listened, and recorded. Each one had a single rule. If injustice rises, we return. No one knew what the humans were truly planning. Their weapons were still a mystery, their ships seemed alive, and most terrifying of all, they didn't seek revenge. They sought balance. That was harder to understand. On a small neutral moon called Calrus 7, leaders of different species met in secret. The Zarn survivors, the Krolin Union, the Fexi traders, even the once isolated Zovari technics. They all came. They wanted answers. They wanted to understand what they had just witnessed. At the center of the meeting sat a simple human representative. He wore no armor, no medals, just a gray uniform with a small emblem. Earth. He introduced himself as Commander Raylan Kale. Raylan did not smile. He did not speak with pride. He simply said, "You have questions. I have truths." One Zovari scientist asked, "How did you build such power in exile?" Raylan replied, "Because we were not distracted. While you fought over borders, we studied. While you built empires, we built understanding. While you ignored our warning, we wrote the code." That word, the code, echoed through the chamber. The Fexi ambassador leaned forward. "What is this code?" Raylan looked at them all, his eyes calm but sharp. "It is the law by which we live. The rule behind every action. The reason why we didn't burn your worlds when we had the chance." He activated a small cube. A projection appeared above it. Simple sentences. Basic language, but heavy meaning. No species will rule another. No power will rise by force. No war will be ignored. No pain will be forgotten. Balance must always return. A long silence followed. The Zarn delegate stood. "You destroyed our empire. Is that your idea of balance?" Raylan stared at him. "We gave you chances. You hurt children. You wiped out colonies. You declared victory before even meeting our real force." He paused. "Balance is not kindness. It is correction. Across the galaxy, the code was uploaded to every system. Satellites began broadcasting it. Old empires found their networks rewritten. New AI systems started running justice programs, designed by humans, but controlled by no one. Some called it a silent takeover, others called it a gift. But no one could stop it, because the humans had already woven their code into every machine, every signal, every path of communication. The moment they returned, they had begun reshaping the rules, and now the galaxy had to follow them or face another storm. On Earth, General Armin Gray stood in the vault of memory, a chamber filled with digital records of every war, every loss, every betrayal humanity had suffered. He spoke softly to his team. "They still don't understand. We didn't return for revenge. We returned so no one else would suffer as we did." One young officer asked, "What if they try again? Another empire, another tyrant?" General Gray turned to her. "Then we return again, not with weapons, with correction, with knowledge, with force only when peace is broken." Meanwhile, strange stories began spreading. A slave planet under Krolin rule suddenly found its chains unlocked. Machines turned on their masters. On the edge of Zovari space, an AI system sentenced a warlord to exile, based on data uploaded by human satellites. In the old Zarn sectors, thousands of orphans received supplies, medicine, and education units, sent from unknown sources marked only with "for the lost." The galaxy was changing, and every species now whispered the same thing. The humans came back, and they brought balance with them. But not everyone was happy. In the shadows of deep space, something darker was watching. A hidden force, older than the empires. They had remained silent during the human rise. They had watched from the void, and now they saw an opportunity to test the code, to challenge the balance. In a forgotten system, a massive ship powered up. It bore no flag, no known design, and it sent one message to the stars. "Phase 0. Let the trial begin." The stars were peaceful now. Trade moved smoothly across sectors. Wars had stopped. Planets that once feared invasion now shared knowledge and peace, all because of the humans. But in the dark corners of the galaxy, something stirred. Something ancient. Something forgotten. It had no name, no face. It had watched as empires rose and fell. It had stayed silent as humans returned. But now it moved. Not with armies, not with ships. It moved through code, through thought, through silence. The humans had created a new law, a code of balance. But this force, this darkness, did not care for balance. It existed to break the pattern. Deep in the edge of the galaxy, a ship appeared, massive, old. No one knew where it came from. Its energy signature was not in any database. It didn't use shields. It didn't speak. It simply arrived. The first planet to detect it was Xandor 9, a peaceful colony under human protection. They sent a greeting. The ship didn't respond. They scanned it. No reply. Moments later, the colony went dark. Everything, power, data, life, was gone in an instant. Not destroyed, erased, as if it had never been there. When Earth Command got the signal, the screen flickered with two simple words: Phase 0. General Armand Gray stood in silence. All the predictions, all the planning, had never expected this. "This is not an empire," he said softly. "This is something else." The Council of Human Commanders gathered. Raylan Kale, now promoted, to High Envoy, spoke first. "If this thing is erasing systems, then the code might not work on it. It doesn't seek control or war. It wants silence." Another officer added, "It's not attacking us. It's testing us." Gray nodded. "And if we fail the test, it will erase us too. The humans had built fleets. They had built peace. But now they would face something outside reason, a force that did not care who ruled, who was fair, who was cruel. It simply measured existence and deleted what was unworthy. Earth Command sent ships to intercept. They vanished. Not destroyed, just gone. Then the Void ship moved toward human space. Fast. Silent. It would reach Earth in 7 days. Panic began to spread. But the humans did not run. They activated protocol. Omega, an old system. Hidden, a plan made long ago, just in case something greater than war ever came. From secret vaults, Earth awoke something no one else in the galaxy knew about. Project Helix, a living AI, not just a machine. It had memory, it had heart, it had human thought, and more. Gray looked at the Helix core as it powered up. "You were built to protect humanity," he said. Helix replied in a calm, soft voice. "And now humanity must protect the galaxy." Helix uploaded itself into every satellite, every beacon, every drone in the system. It began to speak to the Void ship, not with threats, not with weapons, but with human experience. It showed pain, love, sacrifice, music, children's, laughter, the history of war, the tears of peace, the silence of stars. The Void ship paused. For the first time. It stopped moving. Across its black surface, lights began to pulse. Not red. Not blue. But gold, warm. It was listening. Helix whispered, "We are not perfect, but we try. That is what makes us worthy." The Void ship waited. Then it vanished, just like that. Gone. No attack, no message, only silence. And one strange result. The stars in the sector where it vanished began to shine brighter. Scientists had no answer, but the humans understood. They had passed the test, not with weapons, not with fear, but with understanding. The code had held, but now it was more than a law. It was a beacon, a signal to anything out there. We are human. We are not the strongest, not the fastest, but we remember, we change, we protect. And when the darkness comes, we do not break. Across the galaxy, the code was no longer seen as control. It was hope. It was proof that, even in the cold emptiness of space, the heart still mattered.